The City of Glen recently completed a capital improvement plan in hopes to determine what the biggest needs of the city are at this time. On July 15th, the City Council held a public meeting to discuss the results of this capital improvement plan, as well as the results of a recent survey that was put out to the public about what they felt were the biggest needs for the city. Also at this meeting, the City Council discussed the potential for a 1% sales tax increase on the ballot in November. The capital improvement planning process took place over a number of months, where a committee assigned by the City Council met to discuss the current inventory for equipment and infrastructure for the city. They discussed the current condition of different infrastructure such as wastewater, water, electric, streets, and determined what the biggest needs were for each system. The city of Glen is in a really good place compared to many rural cities. Their water, wastewater, and electric systems are all in extremely good shape thanks to ongoing maintenance and more recent projects that have been completed by the city to keep the systems up to date. The main conversation occurred when talking about streets, curb and gutter, and sidewalks across town when discussing what the biggest needs were. Eldon, the city superintendent, also worked hard to develop a list of the biggest equipment needs for the city at this time, which were also included on the council's top priority list. All of these things will be reviewed next. As part of the capital improvement planning process, the City Council decided it would be helpful to do a public survey to learn what the residents of Glen felt were the city's top priorities at this time. You will see after going over the survey results, as well as the council's top priorities, that there are a lot of overlaps in what we're seeing as the biggest problems with the city currently. The improvements that the public felt should take top priority were streets and curb and gutter. When asked what is the best improvement Glen has made in the past 5 years, the most common answers that were seen were the new public bathrooms, the sidewalk project, and the upgrades to the park. It is important to note that all of these projects are the types of projects that do not have a given revenue source. These types of projects that improve the quality of life in Glen are typically funded out of the general fund or by grants. After reviewing the infrastructure inventory and equipment inventory for the city, as well as reviewing the results of the CIP survey, the City Council identified these items as their top project priorities for the next 5 to 10 years. The next question that most people wonder is, how do we fund these improvements in the future? There are 4 main ways that cities fund improvements projects. First and foremost are grant funds. The important thing to note about grant funds is that there is rarely ever 100% grants available for projects. This means that nearly every single grant requires some kind of local matching funds in the form of cash, bonds, or loans. Another way to fund these improvements is Kansas Department of Health and Environment and USDA low-interest loans that are available to cities. Rarely do cities have enough cash on hand in reserves to cover the extensive costs of infrastructure improvements. Another way to fund these improvements is utilizing existing utility revenues. However, the only utilities that have a revenue source are water, sewer, and electric. And many times, the revenue that comes in for these utilities is just enough to cover the annual operations and maintenance. If the city ever decided to take on a much larger infrastructure project with water, sewer, or electric, they would have to look at their current rates for users to see if their income was enough to cover the costs. Or they would have to find another source of revenue to help cover the cost of the projects. The final way to fund these improvements is the potential for a sales tax. Sales tax increases are becoming increasingly popular in rural towns because it gives cities an extra source of income that can cover projects that do not typically have their own designated revenue stream. The City of Glen is proposing a 1% sales tax increase on the ballot in November. With the completion of their capital improvement planning process, the city is confident in what future projects could be funded with the sales tax revenue. They are also confident in the decision to want to implement a sales tax increase because they know that their project priorities directly overlap with the projects identified by the Glen Elder city residents. The value of a 1% sales tax increase would be extremely beneficial for the city of Glen Elder. According to the Kansas Department of Revenue, based on Mitchell County's countywide sales tax, a 1% sales tax in Glen Elder would have generated an additional $60,000 in collections in 2020. So as a resident of Glen Elder, why should you support a sales tax increase? In order for the city to continue to make improvements that truly improve the quality of life for the residents of Glen Elder, it is essential that they come up with another annual revenue stream. Projects identified as the priorities by the residents of Glen Elder included streets and curb and gutter. Both of these types of projects would typically be covered by the city's general fund. However, the general fund is typically only enough to cover the budgeted annual operations and maintenance each year for the city. In order for the city to take on any additional projects, they would need additional revenue. Some might recall that from 2013 to 2017, the city received bushel money from Farmway. During this time, that bushel money ranged anywhere from $38,000 to $60,000 annually. It is a safe assumption to say that if the city implemented a 1% sales tax increase, a similar amount of revenue would come in each year. At that time, the bushel money was utilized for many different projects that greatly improved the quality of life for residents, including matching funds for the sidewalk grant, the new public restrooms, street repairs, new LED Christmas lights, swimming pool repairs, and more. These are the projects that people see when they come to the city of Glen Elder. While most do not know the condition of things that are underground, like water lines or sewer lines, the things that are in sight are the things that truly make someone decide whether or not they want to move or stay within a community. The revenue from an annual sales tax can help make these improvements that continue to make Glen Elder a place that people want to live and raise a family. If you have any additional questions about the results of the city's capital improvement plan or the proposed 1% sales tax increase, please do not hesitate to reach out to a member of the Glen Elder City Council or your mayor.